Welcome back, everybody. This is Stefan here again with our Accelerated Jumpstart program on Office 365, day 1. And I have today again on module 4, Ajinka back with us. And he's going to go through administering of Exchange Online specifically. So how do we position this amongst the day 1 and the other modules? This is module 4. It's the first one, and we have 3 modules across Exchange, SharePoint, and Lync Online. And we will go deeper into how the admin console works for Exchange Online. I'll hand it over to Ajinka at this point of time. And keep in mind, if you have questions, this is the time to ask them. I can ask them live if they are suitable.
Hey, thanks, Stefan. So, like Stefan said, we're going to talk about Exchange administration, dive deep into the administration functionalities. We'll do more of planning and deployment in the next modules to come in the next couple of days. For that, so talking about administration is more about something's already being deployed or the online service is already being deployed, configured to some extent. We'll look at configurations, and what we need to do is basically manage it. So we'll look at what we can do with the Exchange Online services, just a brief overview of the feature set. We'll look at the different tools that are available that you can use to manage the online services. We'll look at the security system that's in place, how you can use that to make email more secure. And we'll look at the different migration techniques. So when we're talking about deployment flexibility, we'll look at migration techniques and the hybrid model. We'll just tap into that. Again, the hybrid model has dedicated sessions on day 3. We have 2 full sessions around that. So we'll dig deep in hybrid then. And we'll just do a quick comparison between the plans. We've done part of it in the session 1, the overview of Office 365. We'll just do a recap for Exchange. Right, so let's get started. So Exchange is one of the major services at this point in time that kind of integrates or federates with the on-premises systems, and there's quite a bit of configuration there, which we call the hybrid configuration, if you were pleased. It follows the same model that we're looking at across Office 365 in terms of browser support, PCs, phone devices, and with the 25 gig space, which I'll go into more details as we talk about different features. It gives you main features, or all features almost, that you would get with an on-premises system. I have a dedicated slide just to talk about what we don't support, which is important to us. And so let me go to that piece directly. Right, there we go. So talking about what we don't support with the Exchange Online services, to start with, the public folders. So that's a catch-22 situation for a lot of customers who have been using public folders for quite a bit of time now. And there are a couple of ways that you can handle or manage that portion. Again, I'll talk about how you can manage those situations in the planning and deploying sections on day 3. But just to give you an insight, 2 ways that you can manage it is an additional mailbox, dedicated and shared mailbox. A second is SharePoint for some of the feature sets that customers use, like calendar sharing. From a client access perspective, I know there were a lot of questions when we said Outlook 2003 is not supported with Office 365, and at the same time we have a post that says POP3 connectivity is now supported with Outlook 2003. So we need to consider 2 factors here. One is the support lifecycle of that particular product. Like Stefan said earlier, it's been about 10 years the product's been around, and the support lifecycle itself is pretty much dying out. The second portion is when you're looking at the end user experience. Outlook 2003 was never built to really manage or provide the level of functionalities that we have, the rich functionalities that we have with Exchange Server 2010, which is currently deployed and provided as a service in Office 365. So the end users are going to have a client, but they're not going to be actually able to use the full Office 365 feature set when it comes to Exchange. So the understanding, or what I'm trying to get at, is the POP supportability is more, you should look at it more as a supportability in the interim while the customers are getting onto Office 365 and running client updates. While they do that, they can continue to use their legacy Outlook if they have that. So that's Outlook. From an ActiveSync perspective, you're supporting a set of policies that you can deploy. From our side, though, we don't support advanced settings and BlackBerry remote applications. From a directory standpoint, now, there are a couple of points I'll just jot on, the more important ones, or the ones that come up more commonly. The second portion is the address book. So a lot of customers on premises are used to a hierarchical address book that they create for different units. With Office 365, it's like a single address book that you have, and that's basically the global address list. With voicemail, we are currently not supporting directory auto-attendant. So just to give you a gist what that is, you call into a company and you get a basic IVR that talks about, hello, you've called in today to dial Stefan, speaker's name from the directory, or to dial Ajinkya, say Ajinkya. So we don't have that functionality with Exchange Online That's as much that's not supported. From a connection standpoint, MAPI Studio is out. We have Exchange Web Services that you need to be working with your customers to get their line of business applications or any other applications that they're using that are used to connect with the Exchange 7 somewhere or the other. The other part is when we're doing administration, a very common question there is, how do we get our customers out, or how do we get the customer's data out from the Exchange server and place it into a PST file, right? So if you're on-premises, Exchange 2010 has an import-export commandlet that you can run. With Exchange Online, you need to provide access to that mailbox if it's an administrator that needs to do it. If it's an end user, basically, they open Outlook, add a PST, move their mails, and that's how you extract the emails. Right? That's the basic piece. From archiving, that's again something new that we introduced with Exchange 2010, personal archives. Customers need to be on Exchange 20, or need to have Exchange 2010 to be able to leverage the online services archiving for that. From a security perspective, we do support IRM, which I'll describe in detail, or in brief rather, in a couple of slides to come. But for the folks that are being used to using SMIME, one of the encryption methodologies, you cannot deploy that with Exchange Online services because SMIME requires you to do a couple of changes on the server itself, and you don't have access to the server. So, well, those are the limitations. I'd suggest let's keep the limitations as a reference point at this point in time. How they impact and how we can manage the situations is something that we'll target to discuss and elaborate on in the planning and deploying sessions. All right, from a system requirements perspective, we've been running a couple of these slides in all of our sessions to ensure that, one, we're repeating this, and second, we're making sure that requirements for specific services are being made clear. So if you have any questions around these, feel free to post out in the Q&A, and we'll be happy to take it. Right. A common question around this is what I'd like to bring is supportability for Macintosh clients. So the normal scenario would be something like, hey, majority of our users are Windows users, but we have maybe just a CEO on a Mac client, and we all know how critical that situation would get if he doesn't get access to his email. So, and I'm sure Stefan would be a better person to exclaim that because he basically talks with that level. So,
yeah, that's actually true. And but I would pose another question right back at you. When we see this system requirements OS slide, we have one in every module so far seen. System requirements, operating system in this particular, and of course there's the client requirements too. As we repeat those, are they differentiating or are they always the same? Just to make sure that people will understand that there might be a nuance in here that they have to be worried about when it comes to the exam.
That's a great point. So the basic operating system requirements are the same across all Office 365 products. It's just the Outlook clients or the Entourage clients for Mac that we'd be looking at specifically when we talk about Exchange, or we'd be talking specifically about browser support when we talk about SharePoint. That's the only difference.
All right, so operating system across the board. Even if we repeat it, it's more for nailing this point down, and it's always the same across the board. Perfect, thank you.
All right, so with that, let's get into more of demo mode, a lot of talking. So visibility and control in terms of Office 365, or basically what are the different management tools available to us. Like you namely have the Exchange Control Panel, the Exchange Management Console, which is nothing but your on-premises Exchange Management Console, and the Office 365 portal as a whole. Of course, you have PowerShell at the back end that you can run remotely to manage Office 365. So there's a kind of 4 main tools or consoles that you'd go through to manage Office 365. Now you can choose based on your administrative role as to which would be the best fit for you, and I think you'd be in a better position to decide that when we're looking at the demos and what you can do with them. So just a brief on how you can connect using remote PowerShell. I know this is something that I think a lot of us struggle, at least for the first times. The dollar creds don't go in that great, and it pops up, okay, unable to connect. So I just have a couple of steps that you can follow. There's a great blog on this from Microsoft as well, with screenshots that you can see. So I recommend you have a look if you're getting stuck somewhere with just connecting with remote PowerShell. All right, so while we go into the demo, a couple of nuances or a couple of got-yous when it comes to different consoles that I'd like to put up. When we're talking about managing licenses, for example, in the online services, you need to use the Microsoft Online portal only to assign licenses. So you could have directory synchronization, putting users from the on-premises to the online services, but you still need to go in there and assign the licenses specifically. So that's one caveat. Second one is when you're using the, say, Exchange, or you're looking at using the online services portal, or you're looking at using the Exchange Management Console, that's going to be a bit of a limitation as to what you can do through them. So each of these were built for specific reasons. And for directory synchronization, if you're using that as one of the tools, or the caveats there is if you have users specifically created on the cloud only, you're going to have to manage them through the online console. And for the users that are sitting on-prem and which are being synchronized, those can only be managed from on-premises while you have directory synchronization enabled. All right, so demo time. Let me minimize this and go to the Office 365 portal. Hope that's on your screens right now. All right. So I'm logged in to the Office 365 portal, and I have basic areas that I can maneuver. So I'll just keep it to the Exchange Online pieces, and we'll be covering different sections of this in different sessions. So I can do two things. I can either go to Users and click New, create a user, or like Fulvio was explaining in the second session today, user management, you can use a CSV file, etc., to create users. Now, we'll talk about the migration techniques and how users could get auto-populated for you when you're doing different migration techniques. But just to get a touch and feel of, what's it like creating a mailbox and the online services, and going through that process, we'll just create a new user, assign license, and go on. Okay. All right. So this is one place I can create. I can also go to the admin overview, go to Exchange Manage, and it should be here any moment. Right. So from the Exchange Management Console, again, I can create a new user with a mailbox. Same process, no difference. Basically, two different areas where I can create a new user from.
So what's the difference in creating a user in Exchange Online directly versus creating a user from the admin console? Do I have to have a user in an admin console created and then create a mailbox for that particular user? Or can I create an Exchange Online a user and that automatically creates a user overall with the appropriate licensing?
So I would really say we're just doing the same task but from two different places. That's as much.
So we have to do it in the admin console for the licensing and then create a user in Exchange Online for the mailbox.
No, so I can create a user in the admin console, and for the mailbox to get created, literally I'm just selecting the license, and a script runs at the background and it's going to create the mailbox for me. I don't have to run any edit task. So I can do the same thing from the Exchange Management Console as well.
Okay, great.
Just two places. And it seems like it's taking more than usual for it to load. So I'm going to go back. Oh, there we go.
We got it there.
Yep. So I'm going to say new user. So if you see, the options are all the same. You have the first name, last name. So I'm going to fill in that. I'm going to say demo user 1, because I already have a demo user created. Demo user 1. And I'm going to use the same for the user ID. I'm going to keep it at the default on Microsoft.com ID. Going to give it. Oh, I didn't paste that. Okay, I'm going to give it a password. Again, ensuring that you're not getting this too many dots. All right, and I'm not going to say requires password change on next logon. Now I can assign a license here. If you say I can assign Exchange Online Enterprise or Deskless, which is a kiosk user, or a basic E1 license. So I'm going to say Exchange Online Enterprise. Going to say save.
So Exchange Online Enterprise, is that E3?
Right. So for me, I have the E3 plan only. So by default, it's just going to pick up that one.
Okay.
Right, so I have demo user 1 created, and I have the same options here, so name, usage, contact information, blah, blah. A lot of things there. I can add an SMTP alias from this section. Now, if you're running DirSync here, this is going to get populated for you automatically from your on-premises system, so you don't have to worry about that. I can then activate or assign specific MRM policies if required, if those are created. Let me minimize these. Right. Again, you can leave a mailbox tip specifically for this particular user. And you have mailbox features, which is basically archiving and litigation hold. So I can enable archiving. and I can enable litigation hold. I'm just going to leave it as it is right now. And for voice features, ActiveSync is enabled for e-licenses by default, so you can say enabled, and unified messaging can be enabled for this user, so they can have voicemail transiting to the cloud. So I'm going to leave all of this at default, hit save, and let's go in, log into OVA, see how the experience is, and then I'm going to configure Outlook for you guys to have a look at that. All right, so let's say mail. All right. My browser seems to be crying a bit. I don't know if it's my connection. I'm going to try launching the online services again. I'm going to say demo user 1 at AVS was my online domain on Microsoft.com. And sign in. That's interesting. Let me just log in into my ID here. And we can basically see the same thing that I was going to show you with the demo user. All right, there we are. So if it's just a user, you not assign rights to them, they'll go directly to the home, team, and Outlook options. Just click on Outlook or team for SharePoint, and they'll be redirected. Right, so while OVA's loading, we can also go and configure Outlook. So I have Outlook 2010 Pro Plus installed here, and I'm going to create a profile real quick. So I have a prompt for a profile to be used, so it's easier for me to select the profiles. I'm going to click Add, say Admin Online User, click OK. It picks up my login by default, which is for Microsoft. I'm going to go ahead and change that. Now I want you guys to focus on this piece because when you're configuring the online services or Outlook for the online services, remember it works on auto discover by default. Okay, so since I'm using the on Microsoft.com domain, my DNS auto discover is already published in the public DNS by Microsoft for me the minute I subscribed into the online services account. Right? However, a lot of organizations block public auto discover or public NS lookup or DNS resolution from inside the organization. If that's the case, then this is not going to configure automatically. You either need to configure or add DNS records inside, or you need to configure this manually. So for me, this should work auto. So let me click Next. There we go, check mark, check mark, check mark. Log on to server successful. I'm going to say finish, click OK, and I'm ready to launch Outlook.
So when you set this up, first figure out if auto discovery is not blocked in your organization. Then it does install itself automatically, right?
That's right. It'll configure
it sets all the
itself
settings, does all the configuration for you. If auto discovery is blocked, you have to do some extra work.
Yep.
What do you need to know if you have to do it by hand? You need to know the server that you have to connect to, I figure?
That's right. I was waiting for you to go there, actually. And while the Outlook profile is loading, I'm going to go back to OVA, and I'm going to show you exactly where you can find these server settings to configure it manually.
Just in case that's blocked.
So by default, as long as a user has an internet connection, he's able to browse, they'll be able to access OWA, right? So that's something we're assuming. So they need to log in, click on Actions. Oh, I'm sorry, click on Options and go to See All. Too many things popping up. Give me a second here. Okay. Click on Options, See All Options. And when I go into See All Options, it'll have a section where it says click here for server details. All right, so this is my account details, and I have settings for POP, IMAP, and SMTP right here.
All right.
So I need to click on it. It gives me my server settings, server configuration. Just copy paste, put it into Outlook, and it'll discover that for me.
Perfect. Easy enough.
Simple.
Just in case you need it.
And there's a document on this on manually configuring even a video. So just in case you need your users to do it, you don't need to build material from scratch like a help or how-to document. It's on the internet. Just share the link with them, and they should be good with this.
Great.
All right. And let's see what's Outlook doing. I think it closed out on me with an error message. So let me relaunch. Right, and I'm guessing we're going to get to see a bit of troubleshooting as well, the way this is going. So
That's what you will face in real life.
Yeah.
And again, some of those questions might be on the exam too, right? When it comes to troubleshooting, it's not. You can always expect to configure it by auto discover,
Exactly.
right? If it's blocked in your organization, for instance, so
Right.
that helps.
So the thing to remember is the exams are designed to basically measure or test your core experience with the whole product or the services as a whole. So while we're delivering this readiness class, again, nothing beats hands-on, right?
Yep, absolutely. So what kind of hands-on experience do we need to have here for this one?
So you're basically configuring Outlook, and it seems I have an issue with the OST file getting created. So let me check. I have cached.
The answer on my end usually is just delete it and rebuild it.
Well, that's the final call.
Of course, we want to hear the easy and better answer. If there is one, I see your.
Well, I should get prompted for the settings, basically, or for the user ID and password.
Right.
Now, one of the reasons I'm understanding I'm not able to do this is I have not set up the sign-in client on this system, right?
Okay.
So that's going to make certain changes on my computer that's going to help me connect with the online services, right? So it's a great time to demonstrate that. So let's go back to Mail. And in the interest of time, I think I have a system set up with that. There we go. So we have the online services sign-in tool, and it has all the updates, everything that's required to connect to the online services loaded for me.
How do we get there?
Another bright question. So I have it right here. Let me log in.
So, as we're logging into this,
And there we go.
this is your regular admin page, right?
That's right. And under the download sections on the right side is where you'll be directed to download Office Professional Plus. You'll be able to download Lync, and the last one is set up and configure your Office desktop apps.
Okay.
So recommended way is install the required applications first, then install this, because it auto-detects what you have installed and will make changes pertaining just to that.
All right, and that includes the single sign-on client here.
That's right. And if you notice, it'll say configure Microsoft Outlook, manual steps required. Those were the pieces that we were trying to do.
Yep.
So let's hit finish here, and the sign-in client just disappears. Let's go to Outlook, and let's see what profiles we have there.
All right.
All right, so I have one created for the online services. That's demo user at AVS. So I'm going to click OK and launch Outlook.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to select that user. Okay. It's not a good day for demos, it seems like.
Oh, there we go. Here it's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So as
we're
choosing that profile.
And hit OK. That should prompt for a user ID and password. Sure. Oh, there we go.
Oh, it's coming up right there.
And I'm going to say don't install a conferencing add-in for now. And perfect.
That's the pop-up we want to have, right? And at that point, you probably want to choose remember my credentials, so you don't have to re-enter it all the time.
That's right.
Is that right? Remember
credentials. That's the one.
Yep.
Right. Now, if you have ADFS set up, this is going to be a seamless experience. It'll just pop up, use your logged in credentials, Windows, and just start up for you. Right. So we're connected, and if you see on the left side, we have an additional piece that shows up, which is archive demo user. All right, I'm just going to say yes to this. Okay, so this is the archive that's showing up, which has been enabled for this particular user. And I can go to inbox and receive email. The rest of it works just like I was on premises. And the beauty of this is users that are logged in into the system will never know, especially in a hybrid scenario, if they're sitting on premises or if they're sitting online. And they just won't know from where they're accessing their mailbox. That's the beauty of the system, and they'll be able to communicate as is.
All right.
All right, so let's look at the next piece. We also saw a couple questions while I was doing Q&A during the last two sessions about PowerShell commandlets. Now, we're not demoing PowerShell commandlets for most of the time because we want you to get familiar with the console, the options, where you need to click to get to a particular point. But I do have a PowerShell reference. There's a great TechNet article that lists all the PowerShell commandlets for you, and you can simply use those. I recommend practicing them a couple of times before you go for the exam. So, all right, so that's PowerShell. The next piece is RBAC. My scroll is just running. So while we have role-based access control for the online services itself, the global admin or the tenant admin, billing administrator, help desk administrator, we have role-based access control at an Exchange Online level, again, separate. So a couple of roles that we have for it. I'm going to, again, demonstrate that for you, how you can assign this. And I'm going to do it using the ECP, the Exchange Control Panel. So let's go back to my online services login. Let me go to Home, Admin, and let's see. My bad, actually, I was in the right place. Okay, so I need to go to Options, see all options, and based on the rights that I have, I'm going to be able to manage just myself or my organization. So I'm going to go ahead and manage my organization. Right? And we have a section for roles and auditing. Now, as an administrator, I'm able to see all the roles that are available by default. I can, again, create custom roles. That's an option we can have a look at. Now, say, for example, you want to provide your help desk rights, say for resetting passwords, for viewing users' details, things like that. So you simply select the help desk role, double click on it, and what we'll see is you'll have a add user section where we can simply click. We'll have all the users that are part of the online services, and we can simply select which users we want to give rights to, add, save, and we're done. So let's say the scope is default, so basically for the entire Microsoft Online services, that is your tenant, of course. Now you're not going to be able to manage somebody else. So, and the permissions or roles are added here. Again, I can modify this, but we recommend not doing it for default roles. You can create a custom one for that, and I can add some members to it. So let's pick up demo user 1, the one that we just created. Click OK, click Save, and now demo user 1 is going to be able to manage users in terms of resetting passwords, reading the attributes, etc. So that's administrator roles that we're looking for. Let's go back to our presentation. All right. So the next piece from our back, it's one of the things that we can manage using the Exchange Control Panel. But besides that, from an end user perspective, there are a couple of self-service features. So let me, bring Stefan in this and have a little chat. So how would you like to, in Microsoft it works that way, but if you were in a different organization and you had to create your distribution list or your group where you wanted to share emails for official purposes now, how would you like to go to the administrator every time saying, hey, I need this distribution list, or would you like a place where you can go, say, new, create a distribution list, add the members, and go on?
Well, another trick question. We all love to have other people do stuff for us,
yep.
But if you go to your admin, it takes time for things to get done. Obviously, I want to have it done. I want to do it myself on my own time. So a portal would be great.
Okay, that's the one. And the thing to remember is your admin is going to have a lot of other tasks. So if we can lighten the tasks for the admins as well, it works efficiencies for both, right? So that's one of the pieces that the Self-Services Portal provides you with. So you can create your own groups. You can join existing public groups based on the rights that are on there. You can track your messages. So this has been a pain point for a long time where, a user will send an email, the other person says, hey, I didn't receive it, and we're talking about outside the organization mostly, and the person will come, can you tell me where this email is? Well, now the admin doesn't need to do it. Simply goes into the console, puts in the details, bang, they know exactly what happened to that email.
I think the other aspect too is, why are we providing these as self-service features, and why is the administrator sometimes involved in creating the distribution lists, right? You don't want to get, you mentioned for professional purposes, creating DLs, and then there's a DL created called jokes.
Yep.
That might be against company policy.
Yeah.
So the administrator still has control over those distribution lists. He's just not being involved in creating those distribution lists per se. He still can go in and remove those if they're inappropriate.
Very much. They can remove it, and you can even restrict users that you want to give these self-service rights to. So you don't want to have, like you said, everybody with those permissions going out and creating probably 50 DLs a day, but just give specific users that need to manage this, so that you're distributing those tasks.
So it's not all or nothing, full self-service or full admin service. You can even scale this on the sliding bar. Great.
All right, so, and we have the Mailbox Search, which we'll have a look at right now. So let's go back to the demo.
Yeah, let's show that.
Again, I need to be within the ECP Exchange Control Panel when I'm going to do this. So since I'm in Manage My Organization section first, what I'm going to show you is how we can manage discovery or multi-mailbox search, or mailbox search for that matter. So we need to click on discovery, and in that we can create a new search. So I have one search created at the background just to show you the output. It's staged in the interest of time. And what search is going to allow you to do is, one, it's majorly required for compliance requirements. So you have your primary mailbox, you have your archive, you have a lot of data that's sitting in the Exchange server, and you have your auditor or your HR, based on how your organization split it, to want to check if there are any compliance issues in terms of, is somebody sending out something that they should not be sharing outside the organization or internally, or if there is certain kind of content that should not be there in a professional system.
And I also figure this goes hand in hand with things like legal hold. Right?
Yes.
So this is a really critical piece. How long does such a search usually take?
So it really depends on, one, how many users you have, two, how much data you have, and how specific you are in creating the search.
Okay.
So if I say, just look for test or look for a particular word in my entire Exchange data, that's going to take more time than saying look for this word in, say, Stefan's mailbox from this date to this date. Right? That makes it very specific.
Complexity of query and volume that you're querying, basically.
But the point to remember is you're not going to be waiting days for the result to get back.
Okay.
It's going to be a couple of minutes at the max.
All right, minutes. That's good.
All right. So I'm going to use the same example. I'm going to say test, and I'm going to make this a very wide range of search. So I'm not going to configure any of these. All right. And I'm not going to add. I just want to search all the mailboxes. I'm going to give this a search name, and you can do two things here. You can either estimate the number of results, or you can copy the results to a discovery mailbox that you can then export into a PST. So I'm going to select the discovery mailbox. I've not created an additional one here. This is the default that's available in the system. I'm just going to double click on that. And you can have an alert, so once the search is done, you don't have to keep at the screen. You can just put an alert there and click Save. Oh, my bad. Search all mailboxes, save. Oh, I just like this test word so much that I keep using it. So I'm going to say test2. Right, so that search is in progress, and while that's happening, just to understand what's there at the back end. So while the search is in progress, you'll see this little circle going in circles, and on the right side, you'll see search in progress, X% complete, and you'll have discovery search mailbox open results. Now if you go to search succeeded, I can either preview results for each mailbox, and this is beautiful. I can just go to each mailbox and I can look at which mailbox has returned results and the exact results for my search. Or I can simply open the discovery mailbox. Now remember, you need to have discovery role assigned for all of this. By default, even the admin does not have rights to do this. Right, and that'll load. It'll basically log me into the Discovery Search Mailbox OWA. I'll have a folder with respect to the search name that I provided, which was test1, or in the example that we staged test2. And I'll be able to see all the relevant emails that matched my test result or test search. Okay, so that's loading. It's taking quite a bit of time. Let's see, brilliant. Perfect time for demos. All right, so I'm going to close this. I think you guys get an idea. If you have more questions around that, though, please put it in the Q&A, and I'll be happy to answer them. So that is the self-services feature set for you. Similarly, the administrator also can manage different pieces from the Exchange Control Panel itself. So he can assign rights, like we saw. We can do a bit of reporting as well, audit reporting, basically to analyze what's happening at the back end in terms of access, etc. And I have a quick screenshot just to explain that to you. So basically 5 reports out of the box that you can run, right from checking who have been placed on legal hold, the litigation hold that we were talking about, and who has administrative rights, etc. on the system. Okay, so from there, let's go to Forefront Online Protection for Exchange. So
before we go to FOPI,
sure.
if I could inject a question here that I got from one of our Q&A channel is the capabilities that you just showed in doing this discovery searching, is that enabled in E1, E2, E3, or is this only something you get in the E3 plan?
It's E3 and above.
E3 and above, yeah. Thank you.
All right. So going into Fullpay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what Fullpay does today, and I'm going to do more of a detailed demonstration, on day 3 in the first session of Exchange, where we'll look at Fullpay, the different deployment methods of how you can put Fullpay, and run you through those. Again, if you have specific questions on what is possible in doing, feel free to put it out in the Q&A, and we'll be happy to answer that. So, Full-Front Online Protection and Full-Front Protection for Exchange are provided by default to all Exchange Online subscribers. Now, you can manage Fullpay specifically in a hybrid scenario. Hybrid could mean that you are in an Exchange on-premises and Exchange Online federation situation, or you just need to route emails to a different location with Fullpay in place. However, the core functionalities here are around anti-spam, antivirus, and policy-driven control. So you can have scanners on the Fullpay system that you configure in order to catch particular emails. Now, what we're talking about here when we're talking about Fullpay, it's an external relay piece, which means that emails going out of the organization and emails coming into the organization are the ones that are going to be controlled mainly by Fullpay. If there's more of control that you need to do around emails that are inside the organization or even transitioning outside, there's also a transport control piece which I'll come to, which is more of an Exchange functionality. Right, so just a routing example here. Now, a piece that I'd like to mention is besides IRM and other encryption technologies, we provide a hosted encryption service from Microsoft. The prerequisite for that is Full-Front Online Protection. So if you have a customer that's subscribed into Office 365, one of the plans, and requires encryption, they're good to go. If they want encryption from on-premises, they can just subscribe for Fullpay and encryption services, and they would be good there. All right, so we'll have a look at this. I'll just skip this for now. It's how you get into the Fullpay Admin Center. Again, it's through the Exchange Control Panel that we were working with. Right, and just again to give you a brief on the archiving pieces, we've seen the archive open up in Outlook just now when we configured Outlook for the user. And the user is basically able to automatically or manually move emails from the primary mailbox into the archive mailbox using policies that we'll be configuring in the deployment sections. With this, there's a compliance piece tied down, which Stefan brought up. One of the pieces was legal hold. Mm-hmm. So legal hold is more where you're freezing all data that's there in the Exchange Server database and saying, you know, you can't make any edits to this anymore. This is frozen and is searchable to the administrator. All right, we've had a look at multi-mailbox search already. Let's look at transport rules. So transport rules, for the folks that have worked with Exchange systems, hub transport, edge transport, you'll be kind of familiar with this. There are three basic pieces to it: a condition, an action, and exception, what you need to do. So conditions is more of who it applies to, what it applies to. The second is what to do with that email. And third is if you want to build an exception for that particular rule for any person DL in that matter. Okay, so let me go to the online console. And that's the mail control rules section in the ECP. I click New. I can select if the sender is, say it's CDS. Click OK. Forward the message for approval to another user. So this really depends on the business requirement that you're looking at. This is ideally not something that I would just come and set up because I know that can be done. So name of the rule is done, so I have the condition, I have the action. I can add more actions to this, and I can also add an exception, but since I'm just applying it to 2 people, there's really no exception here. So I'm going to click Save, and my transport rule is ready. So that's one of the ways how you can control email flow within the organization, and a bit going outside as well. The next piece is the IRM piece. And just to do a quick time check, we are about 1 minute remaining for the presentation. And my apologies, we'll stretch a bit, 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll go for a 10-minute break. So talking about IRM, so for Exchange 2010, you may have seen certain policies that you can apply or select when you're logged into Outlook. And you can say, disallow forwarding of this email, or don't allow copy paste. These are the common policies that we apply. Now, the portion here is you need to deploy an ADRMS server on premises. Now, this needs to be Windows 2008 upward to work. And then there's a bit of configuration part to have ADRMS on premises and the Exchange Online talking with each other. The reason why you need to do this is AD integrated, and the only way you're going to get access to Active Directory is on premises. So there's a great TechNet article that walks you through step by step. I have this on the slide right now. It's going to be on the PDFs in the download section as well. It's a perfect walkthrough. Again, I'd suggest you doing a bit of hands-on with IRM before you step into more of the examination hall. All right, and last but not least, we talk about the migration options. I'm just going to talk about them today. We're going to go in detail on day 3 as to how you can go about these, because they're fairly extensive when you talk about the migration options themselves. Now, there are basically, if I were to count, one is the IMAP and POP, or just IMAP migration, I should say, where you can connect to third-party vendors that provide IMAP and POP3 services, extract data. Now, the caveat there is you can just migrate email. That's it. So you suck the email from the provider, import it into our services. That's as much as you can do. Not recommended, but one of the ways that a lot of customers choose in this kind of a scenario is do a PST export. So they'll connect Outlook to their provider, if that's possible, drop the emails, calendar contacts, if those were there, into Outlook PST file, then simply configure the profile to work with online services, and move the data back into the Exchange Online services. So that's a way to migrate. Not the best way, specifically if you have a lot of users that you need to work through.
Are there tools to, for PST to have to do it for every single mailbox, are there tools to accelerate that so you can kind of do this for all the mailboxes at the same time, create a PST, and then import it into Exchange Online? So
we have a tool that's available that's basically built to import data into the archive, Exchange Online archive. So if you have PSTs, you can use that to inject data into the online services directly. That's a way. But again, it has its own complexities, so that's a matter of choice you want to make at that point in time.
Good to know it exists. Good.
Right. The second piece is around using the online free tools that are available through the online console itself. So the first one is called Cut Over, which means you're just taking all the users' mailboxes one go, considering you have an Exchange server on the other side from where you're migrating, and importing all that data using the tool into the online services. Now, if you're using Cut Over, your data is going to get sucked with you, and your user is going to get created for you into the online services the minute you hit the button. You cannot quite control which user will get migrated, which will not. You're just going to pick up all the mailboxes and sync the data. Now, that's going to be a script that's going to be running every 24 hours to sync delta changes after that until you click on the complete button of the migration process. The piece to be worried about here is you need to click complete after or when you're ready to move the MX record from the on-premises or the third-party exchange system to the online system. So you switch the MX record, then hit complete, because that's going to stop synchronizing data with the SOS system or the SOS exchange server. So if your timing's wrong, the possibility is you're going to lose some email, or some email is just going to stay on the source system without coming to the online services. So that's cutover migration. Third is staged migration. That's more of a controlled fashion where you're building a basic, I'd say, coexistence, where you plug in directory synchronization into the system. And the minute you plug in directory synchronization or enable directory synchronization in the online services, it's going to automatically switch to staged migration mode in the online services tool. So you do that, and then you can provide a CSV file as to which users you want to migrate at that point in time. It gives you an ease to flow and do the migration at your pace. But again, pros and cons, we'll talk about a lot of that in planning and deployment. Last but not least, we have the hybrid model for migration, where you're building a pure hybrid scenario for migration. So let me take you to that slide. You're connecting your on-premises Exchange server with the online services. Now you need to deploy one Exchange Server 2010 Service Pack 1 hub and cache role minimum to federate with the online services. Now we're providing you this as a free license. You don't really need to purchase one if you're worried about that. And that allows you a better experience in terms of FreeBSD information sharing, rights delegation, etc. between the online and on-premises system. Again, just trying to set context and trying to set the base today. We're really going to drill down deep into these. Just want you guys to be prepared for day 3, where we'll be running directly into options and demos and doing little or no slides at all. All right, so that's coexistence. On your screens for your reference is the plan comparison. Again, we talked about the service descriptions in the first discussion that we had. This is available in the service description. Feel free to refer to it. It's updated from time to time. All right, and I was promised you commandlets. These are the areas of commandlets that we have. Remember, Exchange Online is the major portion for commandlets. There's a link down there that talks about these in detail that you can click on and find the actual commandlets.
That's the question again. We had on Q&A.
Sure. I thought you were waiting for that.
That's exactly that link.
Okay.
You already posted that.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, and a couple more resources. Again, it's part of your PDF, so I won't talk about them. And we're 6 minutes overrun, so I'll take your leave for now. And we'll see you guys.
Thank you so much,
next
Ajinka.
session.
I really appreciate that. Thank you for the overview on administering Exchange Online. There was a lot of stuff in here. I hope that gets you ready for that portion of the certification for the exam. And we were going to take another 10-minute break. Then we'll come back with the next module with full view again and talk about administering SharePoint Online next.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.